It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the three films of the weekend after Thanksgiving, December 1st, 2006. Now, usually the weekend after Thanksgiving means that Hollywood is really not going to put out any of their big blockbusters because they did that over Thanksgiving weekend, and so this weekend's usually reserved for, the holdovers from last week, and this is a weekend that's usually reserved for really bad movies that they thought were not going to be successful in any way, shape, or form. So they decided to use the excuse of, well, we put it out after Thanksgiving, and, there's all these big blockbusters in the way. So clearly these movies that we thought were going to be big successes, they weren't going to be, they didn't turn out to be the big successes we were hoping they were. And it's like, we could see through the bullshit. They knew it was going to be, not going to be successful overall, but, this year in particular, we do have at least one movie that actually I think is a lot better than people let on. And we're going to get to that in just a moment. But also we have a horror film starring Josh Duhamel from Las Vegas, Turistas, and the sequel to Van Wilder, not starring Ryan Reynolds, but starring Kal Penn. Because, he was in Harold and Kumar, and I guess they thought he was going to be the next big thing, and not so much. But we'll get to those in just a moment. But let's talk about the biggest new release of the weekend, which is, of course, the Nativity Story. Another example of, hey, Catherine Hardwicke is a good director, despite what Twilight tells you. But I don't think I need to tell you the story about this movie. The Nativity Story is, of course, about the birth of Jesus Christ, and it stars Keisha Cashel Hughes from Whale Rider as I can't remember her name now. Mary, excuse me. I was going to shut it off and then try to look, but I should know this. Mary, who becomes pregnant with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and of course she goes on that I should know these names by this point. Joseph goes along with her, played by Oscar Isaac, and in this movie, they're of course being asked by the Archangel Gabriel to go and give birth to the Lord and Savior, and yeah, it was a movie that surprisingly came out after Thanksgiving. I feel like this is a film that probably would have been primed to come out before Thanksgiving, because it is a Christmas movie, and a movie about one of the most significant births, if not the most significant birth of our lifetime. And the movie itself actually is really good. I mean, it's a really impressive film. It does a very good job of telling the story in a unique way that we haven't seen done before. It's got a lot of great people in the cast, including Keisha Cashel Hughes and Oscar Isaac, Kieran Hines, Shohreh Aghdashloo, Sean Tobe from Iron Man is in here. It is a really investing film, and it does a very good job of telling the story that we've heard time and time again, done in a very unique way, in a way that's very different from what we're used to hearing from this particular story being told numerous times, and it does do things a lot differently than most stories do, and it's a really good film. It is a film that actually does a very good job of telling the story in a unique approach that hasn't really been done before, and it's not really one of those heavy... It's a movie, of course, about, the birth of Jesus Christ, but it's not pounding the message right in your face like a lot of Christian movies nowadays do. But even though there are some that do a good job of toning it down a little bit, even though they are faith-based films, they're not, like this is one of those examples. This is one of the examples of the earliest ones doing that just right. And I also found it kind of amusing that Keisha Cashel-Hughes, who was 16 when this was being made, actually got pregnant at the time of this movie getting made. So that made for some pretty interesting situations behind the scenes, to literally be pregnant while making this movie when you're 16 years old. I mean, this woman was nominated for Whale Rider just 3 years ago. She was one of the youngest Oscar-nominated actresses at the time, and lo and behold, here she is in this movie where she is supposed to be pretending to be giving the birth of Jesus, and she actually is pregnant overall. So that probably made the makeup people for this movie very happy, because it's just like, hey, we don't have to worry about giving you a prosthetic stomach to work with. You're already going to have it inside of you. But all jokes aside, though, and all the things behind the scenes aside, this is actually a really good movie, and one I would recommend checking out. I think it's on AMC this holiday season during the Christmas programming there. I think they're the ones that have it. Either of them or Freeform, but wherever you can find it, if it's on television, if it's on Blu-ray, I highly recommend checking it out. It actually is a really good film. Probably one of the better post-Thanksgiving movies you'll get at this point, especially considering what we've got coming up next on here, and that is, of course, Josh Duhamel in the horror film Turistas.
Welcome to paradise. I love you, Brazil! Yeah! In a country where anything goes.
Would you guys mind if I went topless?
Anything can happen.
They robbed us. We have no money. We have no way out of here.
It's not good for you in town.
Hello?
Who the hell are these people?
Vacation is over. Turistas.
I wanna go home.
We all want to go home, lady. We all want to go home. We don't want to go out and see this movie. And apparently nobody did, because this thing massively bombed big time, and not shocking to see why. Its plot focuses on a group of... Stop me if you haven't heard this already, because this story is groundbreaking. It focuses on a group of international backpackers in Brazil who find themselves in the clutches of an underground organ harvesting ring. Yeah, essentially, dumb white people being dumb white people, and they get young teenager, not even young teenager, but like, they got to drink all the time. They're around this beautiful island. They've got these two sexy women with them. Josh Duhamel does. Olivia Wilde, actually, that's her sister, so would be really weird. And Beau Garrett, who would later be seen in Tron Legacy and Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, and they're also joined by another woman, Melissa George, and yeah, they get drunk. Josh Duhamel's got to hit on one of the girls at some point. Obviously not her sister, but then crazy shit happens. All their stuff gets taken away from them, and they're stuck in the middle of nowhere with nowhere to go. And did I forget to mention this was directed by the same guy that did Into the Blue? That should probably give you a warning sign right there. But most notably, this is the first film by Fox Atomic, which was sort of a short-lived version of the studio at 20th Century Fox, basically trying to do the Rogue Pictures thing. Like, Rogue Pictures, of course, this was a subdivision that was created to support mostly comedies and genre films, and not very good ones either. I mean, a lot of the films, I'm looking at the list right here, they only had about 7 movies put out during this thing, and the 7 movies were this movie, Turistas, The Hills Have Eyes 2, 28 Weeks Later, The Comebacks, The Rocker, Miss March, 12 Rounds. Some of those movies aren't bad. 28 Weeks Later is okay. Comebacks, I thought was a lot better than people made it out to be. The Rocker's probably the best of that bunch there. Miss March, there was even 3 other ones that were supposed to come out, but then the studio folded. I Love You, Beth Cooper, Post Grad, and Jennifer's Body. If we're going to include those movies, then Jennifer's Body is easily the best of the bunch, but it was pretty clear that none of these movies were going to be successful. And that's not even the last of those movies, because there was a Revenge of the Nerds remake that was going to be in the works that was actually filming in 2006, and then an executive of the studio decided to stop production on the film, and this mostly because the university that they went to, they refused to let the campus use the production of it, and they actually had to look at the dailies and made the decision to stop putting the film together after 2 weeks of shooting. Like, that's how you know the studio was primed for disaster right from the very beginning. And a movie like this does not do anything to wow people into your new studio. It just makes people go, wow, you're really trying to rip off Rogue Pictures of all companies. And yeah, this is a film that really does not work at all, mostly because it's a film we've seen done before so many times. We've seen so many movies like this film. I mean, every one of them has not been good. Most of them have not been very good. And it's because they follow the same formula over and over and over again. It's the same formula. It's the same setup. It's the same big, shocking, grotesque thing that we got to do because Saw and Hostel are the big movies that we got to copy now, and it just doesn't work when you do the same thing over and over and over again. And this isn't even the last of the movies to do that. We still have a long way to go before we finally get to the trend of that ending, and it's still a long way to go from there. But not much more to really say about this movie, man. This is not a very good film at all. Turistas. What can you expect from that? Same thing you would expect from a movie like Van Wilder 2, The Rise of Taj. Now, if Ryan Reynolds was involved, maybe you'd have something, but not so much. Let's go ahead and take a look.
In 2002, Van Wilder taught us to be all we could be and do everyone we could do. This time, his star student
Yes, I'll have the chicken, please.
is heading to England.
Excuse me. Is that Madame Mandera's Bombay hot sauce?
No way, you know it?
I have this thing for spices.
You have a thing? Oh, that's hot. That's actually... Hi, you look funny. I'm Taj, your new resident advisor. The coolest kids on campus are living here. Who's moving in? The new you, the new all of you. Stand up straight. The man always looks more confident when he's erect.
Now, at Camford University,
I would like to announce the formation of a new fraternal house.
Just because you're all making a spectacle of yourselves doesn't mean you're not still invisible to the rest of us.
he's discovering the rivalries are bigger.
He's a royal jackass.
Let's settle this like my ancestors did.
You want to exploit me economically?
But the best still come out
God.
on top.
I'm dead. So I assume those are real.
You alright?
This December, higher education is getting wilder than ever.
Meow, meow. A bad doggy.
Oh, my parents!
National Lampoon's Van Wilder, The Rise of Taj.
My son is a hound doggy, eh?
My God, they put in all... Speaking of movies that have been done over and over again, here's a movie that puts all the tropes of these raunchy comedies in here. You know, you gotta have your sex appeal, you gotta have your raunchy jokes and all that, and just like stuff that we've seen done to so many times before. But did I also forget to mention this was directed by the same guy that did Boat Trip? That should have been my first warning when I went to go see this movie in the theater. Yes, I went to go see this movie in the theater when I was 17. What do you expect me to do? I mean, I liked the first one. I thought maybe it's got a chance to be good, not realizing that no, it does not. Van Wilder's not even in the movie. Why the hell is it called Van Wilder? Like, why isn't it just called The Rise of Taj? I mean, it's literally the character from the last movie Kal Penn plays. But having graduated in the U.S. as a Van Wilder disciple, now self-confident Taj Mahal, get it, played by Kal Penn, arrives at dawn, teaching assistant history at England's super prestigious Camford. He falls victim to the haughty, aristocratic leading fraternity president's Pip's usual prank for commoners, landing in the derelict barn with other social outcasts. But Taj decides to ban the rejects into a new fraternity, Cocks and Bulls, which, under his leadership, challenges Pip in the annual all-around excellence championship. Like, this is one of the stupidest plots I have ever read in my entire life. This movie is so terrible. And I was stupid enough to buy into this back in the day, but I don't even need to rewatch the movie again just to see if it held up if it got better over time. Obviously, it did not. And look, Kal Penn can be a really good actor and a very smart person too at times. I mean, this guy worked at the Obama White House, for God's sakes. You also have Lauren Cohen, who would later go on to star in The Walking Dead. I mean, there's a lot of ideas here that could be fun overall, but it just falls into the same predictable tropes we've seen in so many of these college raunchy comedies. Yeah, you can watch these. You can watch a woman take her clothes off in this many times in here, but we have the internet. This is 2006. We have the internet. I can go on to websites like Celebrity Movie Archive and just find all the clips clips that have nudity or sexy lingerie right now. I'm not saying that you should do it, but if you'd rather do that than watch this movie, there you go. There, I just gave you everything you need to really experience any good stuff with this movie if you really want to go that route. Plus, the names in this movie are so stupid. Of course, the English guy's got to be named Pip. Of course, they got to call the new fraternity the Cock and Bulls because get it? We're an R-rated comedy. Here's the thing. It seems more and more that Animal House was more of a lightning in a bottle moment than an actual success, because besides the 80s where we had many successful college comedies like Back to School and also Caddyshack's not really a college comedy, Revenge of the Nerds, Porky's, those movies were successful around that time and they actually were fun films. Ever since then, they have tried so hard to create the next Animal House, and especially with National Lampoon, and they have nearly failed every single time. Their most successful comedy they had outside of the Animal House movies was the Vacation movies. Excuse me, I'm getting so worked up here. I'm burping up my thoughts on this, but the Vacation movies have been the most successful thing to come out of National Lampoon since then. This is probably the second closest thing with the first Van Wilder movie. And the first Van Wilder movie was fun. It actually did give you a little bit of a lesson in life. Like, hey, sometimes it actually did help me. Truth be told, the original Van Wilder actually did make me want to learn better in school, because maybe someday I'll go to a college like this. I was like Homer in the Homer Goes to College episode, because I got all my knowledge on college by watching these corny ridiculous over the top college movies. But I thought that was the thing back then. But in this movie, it just doesn't work because the humor is not funny at all. There is not one good laugh in this movie. And like I said, if you're just there for the sex appeal, just go online and just look at the stuff. It's literally 20 seconds worth of your time, and it's worth not seeing a garbage movie like this. Because this is a garbage movie. This is a lousy film that's not funny in any way, shape, or form. And like I said, it's directed by the guy from Boat Trip. We all should have gotten that warning sign from the get-go. Or at least I should have gotten that warning sign right from the get-go, but stupid me went to go see it anyway. But most people did not. And there was another Van Wilder movie that came out on DVD a couple years later, which is so-so. Not that great, not that bad either. Just definitely felt like a film. It just definitely was your typical DVD sequel that wasn't really putting a lot of effort into it. It was just basically a movie made to cash it on the title of the first movie. And like this film, it's not very good. So, yeah, if you want a good Van Wilder movie, just watch the first one. I mean, that's really the best one you can watch, honestly. Avoid The Rise of Taj, though. And so, with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. And the next time we meet, we'll take a look at the weekend of December 8th with 4 more movies, including Mel Gibson's follow-up to The Passion of the Christ, Apocalypto, Nancy Meyers' Is the Holiday with Kate Winslet, Cameron Diaz, Jack Black, and Jude Law, Leonardo DiCaprio starring in Edward Zwick's Blood Diamond with Jennifer Connelly and Jaimin Hansu, and Paul Fahey's Unaccompanied Minors, a holiday comedy being released after the holidays, which is usually not ever a good sign in terms of box office success. That means the studio doesn't believe in it, but is it actually a little underrated gem? We'll take a look and see. It is Paul Fahey, after all. But we'll look at those 4 movies on the next episode. That'll be coming up tomorrow. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, please hit the plays on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification button to get updates on when new videos come out, because we post every day here. With all that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.